Cap-and-Trade. Who knows what that is? It's something that was invented, I think, internationally, but it's being talked about seriously for this country. It's where companies buy credits which enable them to pollute. You know, all this business of we're producing so much carbon dioxide that the whole earth is warming. Now, a lot of people, especially the Tea Party people, don't think that we're doing anything about it. Or they don't think that we're doing anything to cause it. But if you look at this earth, we used to think that it was a sink in which we could pour everything we had. But now we've got to watch the fish we eat because of the mercury in the ocean. Man is producing so much and wasting so much, and we had a talk from Christine the other day about all the plastic that's in the ocean, that I believe that whether we are the total cause of global warming, what we're doing is contributing to it. And we've got to stop doing it or it'll contribute more and more and more as China begins to produce the same amount per capita as we do, which will be far more. At the moment, this country is producing more than anybody else. So we have to do something. And Cap-and-Trade is an answer that some people have put forward. And it's got lots of pros and cons. Now it's where companies get credits, if it's international, nations get credits, but in this country it would be mainly companies that enable them to produce so much carbon dioxide. One credit would be sold to them, which would enable them to produce 1 ton of carbon dioxide per year. And companies would buy this, and they produce that much carbon dioxide. If they produce more, they'd have to buy credits from companies that had surplus, or sell them if they produce less to companies that were producing more than they should. So this is something that's a very good idea. But the trouble is, how do we know how much carbon dioxide a company is producing? You can go and ask the company, and some companies will tell you. Other companies will tell as many lies as, what's her name, Casey Anthony could tell in 5 minutes. So you just don't know. In other words, we have to build up a bureaucracy to overlook this, to measure what companies are making. Which means we got one more, I guess, solution to the unemployment problem in Washington. But it's not one that most of us would like. And companies will have to employ people to measure the amount of carbon dioxide. And then when they disagree with the government, there'll be work for our lawyers. And so there'll be government lawyers and company lawyers all fighting over how much carbon dioxide a company is producing and whether it's over its credits or under its credits. And this, I don't believe, is a good thing. So how do you administer a program like this? And I'll be quite honest, I can't see any good way to administer it. It's a wonderful idea that the government would say that one credit gives you 1 ton of carbon dioxide, and in 5 years' time, it'll give you 0.9 of a ton. So it should theoretically reduce the carbon dioxide. But in order to administer this thing, it's terrible. So I believe that we have to rely on individuals. Individuals have to watch how much carbon dioxide they produce. Now you can produce less by stopping breathing. You can also produce less by having a car that doesn't use immense amounts of gasoline. You can produce less by setting your air conditioning just a degree or a couple of degrees warmer in the summer, or cooler in the winter. And it's not only large companies that this would have to be done with. How about trucks? How do you do it with trucks? Do you charge the trucker for permits? Do you charge the person who sells them the gasoline or the diesel for permits? Or the company that makes the trucks? Where do you go for this? Because you do know, for a company, you do know on the average how much each truck is going to use. For the driver, you know exactly how much diesel he puts into his tank. So there are many ways to look at this. You could either get down to the individual, the small business, or the large business. So far, most of all I've seen written is for large businesses. And they do. We had a talk from Rick a few weeks ago, which talked about what Georgia Power was doing to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide. But that makes the measurement more difficult. Now, if Georgia Power was buying coal, which I imagine it does some, you know how much coal it buys. But then it turns some of that coal into methane, which will burn much more cleanly. So it's not just the amount of coal it buys, it's what it does with it, how it processes it, how it makes the electricity. How long am I talking for?
7 minutes.
7 minutes? Why isn't the thing on?
It's 8 to 10.
Oh, is it 8? Oh, sorry. I should have said 7. All right.
Just keep going.
Let's see what my notes say.
Press on.
All right. That doesn't help. I can't read my writing. We should, but in any case, we all have to think about global warming. We have to decide what we as individuals are going to do. Because this bad weather we're getting is not an accident. As we get more warmth into the atmosphere, the amount of energy increases, the storms will get more violent, the rains will get more violent, the droughts will get worse. All these things are due to increased energy in the atmosphere, which is increased heat. As some of you may know, if you've studied science, heat and energy heat is a form of energy. So more heat means more energy. And we have to watch that. We have to be careful what we do as individuals. We have to watch what other people are doing, what our politicians are proposing. At the moment, the conservatives don't want any change. Well, that's being a conservative. So obviously they don't. But Obama came in promising change. And as we move from one type of economy to another, one that uses a lot of fossil fuels to one that produces energy in other ways, jobs will disappear. This isn't a good time to do it for that reason, in a recession. Because there will be jobs created. The number of jobs should increase in general, especially as we begin to sell this stuff to the world. At the moment, Denmark's the only country that's doing a lot of it. And they're selling a lot. Germany's selling a lot. We're selling almost nothing to other people. So let's bring American ingenuity into it, use our brains, use our competitive instincts, and the competition that this country has used to make it the primary country in the world, and improve the lives of everyone in the world.
please take a minute to write your comments down on the ballots and pass them down to John. There are lots of ways to have some